Trying to be a good person on the left wing is like trying to speak French in Paris. It's the most unrewarding thing in the world. And that's why people are going right wing, because it's so easy.
I hate vegans, and I'm vegan.
yes.
I, for one, am grateful to be, joining your gigantic World of Warcraft LAN party tonight. It's
Yeah. Well, I got told because I think I've got like a roadcaster system because, I occasionally do podcasting here with my friend Kai. And then my publicist was like, the past couple of interviews you've done, the mic quality's been rubbish. So you have to use headphones. But all my headphones are Bluetooth. And I don't know how to connect that to a computer because I'm not learning how to do that. It's past my time. So my PlayStation's over there. So yeah, I do look like I'm playing computer games. That's a very dated reference, but you're lucky I love World of Warcraft. Like World of Warcraft was my teenage years.
I know it's a dated reference, but I've been following your work for some time, and and we'll get to this. Get to this. You do tell a story about, yes, Mum, I'm writing comedy, and on the other side, you trying to do some sort of thing. It was on a PlayStation. That was my first and last ever decision to ever play any network games because I'm slower on the trigger finger when I'm put in a public arena, I play a network and I hear this 11-year-old kid with a Texan accent. This is, 2006 when I got my first Xbox. Some 11-year-old kid with a Texan accent goes, "How do you fucking feel to be fucking owned by a fucking Texan?" And I'm like, play this.
Oh man, I was that kid. So like back in, I think Xbox Live came out in, I'm going to say 2003, 2004. My parents bought me an Xbox original. Unreal Tournament was the game. Yeah. And I loved it. And it was just, for me, I remember being like given these headphones and my dad explaining that I would be playing with strangers from around the world. And like the first game, I was talking to this guy from Boston. I think he was like, in my head, he was 55, but he was probably only 22. But like, that's what that age felt like to me at the time. Yeah. And we teamed up and we were talking to each other and it was great. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the future of humanity, just connecting us across large distances. And then in the next game, and I'm not proud of this, and feel free to bleep it, but it is true. Once I realized the power of anonymity, and the fact that I was talking to people overseas who couldn't do anything to me, all I would do, push every single button I had. And because I'm 13 and I haven't fully developed empathy yet, but that's when I knew the internet was fucked. And ever since I was like, I think it should be illegal to be anonymous online.
Yeah.
I think any social media, anything where you're talking to anyone else, it should be, your face, your job, everything. And there should be a back catalogue of everything you've said on like society. Yeah. Like the reason society works really well is if you're an arsehole all the time, people in your community will be like, that guy over there is a he burned that building down. He's rude to those neighbors. He's racist to the people who work in the shop there. And your community tells any newcomers that you're a piece of shit. So there's less chance that you can fuck with people who don't know you. The internet needs to have that.
I couldn't agree more. And now in this age of, Armenian or Myanmar bot farms and, N8N kind of mega political auto commenters, I yearn for a 13-year-old not understanding what they're talking to me about. Because at least you can sit down and if you ever found a chat, you could say, I understand that. In Scotland, it might not make much sense. But my entire family died that day. And, you could at least have a conversation with a human being about it.
Yes, look them in the eyes.
The other side is that you sit here being as the trolley, taking the full brunt and having those enormous immediate emotional responses, even though it's written by a machine. And then your day's out the window.
Which it's more like whenever sometimes videos will come up in my algorithm and I'm like, why is this in my algorithm? I'm an angry, miserable person. And then you go into the comments and it's so easy to, because I'm aware that I'm a big soft lib, right? And I'm aware that like there's almost no such thing as a good news source anymore. So like I do try to see what the other side is thinking. And then you go into the comment section and it's just so easy to click on a account that says something and be like, and see 0 posts and be like, right, we'll just ban that one. That one's banned forever. That one's a bot. That one's there too. So discords amongst societies that have democracy to get rid of it. But then again, maybe maybe not. Maybe all the soft, lovely comments being like, oh my, saying positive things. Maybe those are just bots.
I would disagree. I would disagree with that entirely because there's less engagement, and it's been scientifically proven. There's less engagement with, "Hey, good on you, pal, attaboy." Though it does give us, I think it's the availability bias or the availability heuristic. We then get this illusion that, oh my God, the world is on fire because we've taken the urinals out and put in just cubicles. Someone's going to try to change my child's gender before recess, but that's not actually real. But you, sir, have been conducting, you say you can't really believe a news source, and bear in mind you are polling a very self-selecting cohort, but 50-something countries probably, and I'm gonna blow smoke where it should be blown, at least 1,000 people every time. You have seen the line of what people will get on board with and not over some time now. Given the break, we'll go to the break. We'll talk about the break in a minute. But you talk about the line in the last special that you shot in Istanbul, which I love. You talk about how the line moves. Where have you seen the line move?
Well, I mean, it depends. Look, I mostly perform to Bleeding Heart Lips, right? My audience is there. I love whenever my comedy is able to reach across the aisle and find the center-right people. I think that's what good comedy should be. I think it takes very little skill to be a left-wing comedian and to say things that left-wing people agree with and get a round of applause for that, in the same way that I don't think it takes much skill for right-wing comedians to, do what they do, which is just say dumb, hack, racist, transphobic, homophobic things and get the applause. I think you've got to, appeal to not the fringes of both sides, but the center of both sides, because you should be able to make points in that way. I've seen the line change. It really depends where you are. I mean, my audience is 66% women, so I sort of feel like I have a responsibility to challenge the audience in front of me. And what that does involve is, trying to tread the line of ironic sexism in a time where women are, I guess, more under attack in the Western world than they've been probably in the last 15, 20 years in terms of, their rights and their safety and the way that they are viewed. And that is difficult. And it's something I do get wrong and have gotten wrong. And I'm sure I will get it wrong again at times. But I guess that's a challenge to stand up. Every time the line moves, I want to get as close to it as possible. And what that does mean is mistakes will be made.
We have a thing in Australia that ABC, similar to the BBC, they have a thing called the vote compass, where you kind of check on things you care about around an election time. And I thought, I'm definitely going to show up way on the left. Like, they can't make a green enough logo for me because I feel so differently about the things I see in the newspapers. Yeah. It turns out I was in the center with my right shoulder leaning on the wall the whole time. And that's it's weird, So I don't think when I listen to you, I don't think you're particularly completely screaming lefty at all.
No, but I would
empathy, like that's human.
Yeah. I fucking hate The Guardian. I hate everyone who writes for The Guardian. I read it some days just to be like, oh, yeah, no, I fucking hate most of these people. This is dumb. And people who write in this newspaper are the reason why the right wing will continue to beat the left. Because, is it journalism or is it just point scoring whining? And also, I think it's stupid for comedians to define themselves. I don't want to call myself left wing because, again, I fucking hate the left wing, because the left wing are the reason why the governments I want never get it. Because the left wing are so easy to bully and so easy to wind up and so easy to parody, because there is no nuance, there is no empathy. Like, as much as I dislike the right wing, the one thing they do consistently get right about the left wing is so much for the tolerant left.
Oh, yes.
Like if you want to talk about why young men are going to the right wing, it's because it's the only place that allows them to stumble and fall. It's the only place that has open arms when they make a mistake. There's no such thing as forgiveness on the left.
Mate, I'm going to go one further, Daniel. Like, I fucking hate vegans, and I'm vegan.
yes.
There's the reason that I tell people I'm plant-based. I'd never use that word. I don't want to use that word because I'm not going to show you footage of an abattoir. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make weird meat is murder things while you're eating. I'm not going to talk about how does that face taste. I'm not going to say anything like that. What you put in your mouth is your business. But for God's sakes, fucking pipe down, guys.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up for a second.
But it's an interesting microcosm because what I can't stand it is you can never be pure enough, ever.
Yes.
And it's a really interesting microcosm of what happens on that side of things. And it just shoots itself in the foot every time by trying to bully people into it. And
trying to be a good person on the left wing is like trying to speak French in Paris. It's the most unrewarding thing in the world. It's just the most snootiest pricks desperate for you to fail and to tell you how much you've failed. And then you're like, well, I guess I'll just not go to fucking Paris then. Whereas what being right-wing is going to fucking Singapore and be like, I don't speak noodles. I don't understand what you're fucking saying. Like, it's just easier. And that's why people are going right-wing, because it's so fucking easy. It's so easy. I could do it. Oh man, I would be a multi-fucking millionaire if the amount of times the left wing has tried to fucking got you. You were hypocritical. You were a human being for a brief moment. We saw growth and we don't accept growth. If I could just fucking cash in that goddamn right-wing check, right? Millions and millions and millions of years.
We spoke last time you were lining up to come down to the comedy festival. You were on the Gold Coast. You had only one child at the time.
Yes.
And we touched on this because I listened to it again because it was a fucking great conversation. But we spoke about when you were just 18, Marlene, your manager, insisted, no, Daniel, write a fucking hour show. Get in there, write the show. Besides all the World of Warcraft, Mum, you did write a lot. You treated it like a job. It was work. So both your mum and your manager insisted, no, write the show. So your life becomes write, work out material, tour, record the special, write, work out material, tour, record the special, years and years and years and years and years and years. Something's always there to occupy your day. So and you know what? The next day, there's a new place completely. It's novelty. And then you take time off. And it's the same bed and the same house and the same thing every day. What was that like?
Happiest I've ever been in my life. Happiest I've ever been in my life. No comparison.
But now I have to ask, but what about for the people that live with you?
Oh, a different story. No. Like my son was over the moon. He was confused for a bit, but like, cause for like 18 months, he was like the only kid in like, at like nursery or at parks or soft plays with both parents there. Like there's always whoever the breadwinning parent in other families would be at work during the day, whereas he had both mum and dad there. And he loved it and he was a bit confused by it. And then obviously I get all this undeserved credit of being like, oh my God, what a present father. And I'm like, you don't understand how often I'm away. And even when I'm fully present, my wife is still, I do my best to get close to like 50-50 with my wife. That's obviously the dream. But, the bitch had a head start. You're never going to get 50-50 with your wife because she birthed the children. She's long before you even started being a father, she was a mother, right? There's no there. So that you got to put this extra effort in at all times. My wife loved it. I mean, there was an adjustment period where I didn't really know. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't know how to take time off. I didn't know how to like shut my brain off in a way. And then, yeah, man, just getting to see my daughter grow up, my son grow up, and be around it was the best. Like this isn't me complaining about stand-up. God, I'm so privileged to get to do this job. It's my favorite thing, and I'll never stop doing it. But it robs you of the ability to have a routine. And I'd never really understood before how much a routine was crucial to my brain. Like being at home, being on the road and being sober is impossible to me. Like I just cannot do it. Like if I'm in an airport every day, I need to be stoned. Otherwise, I'm going to punch strangers in the back of the head for not understanding that you have to take your fucking belt off. Whereas
it would be a beautiful full circle moment if you did end up on your friend Nick Cody's podcast about plane fights.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I've been close a couple of times, and it's always pensioners.
It's not their fault. Like they paid their taxes, and now they're just like,
do they?
My house should just be going up 10% a year, and now what do you mean? I have to do something inconvenient? Fuck me.
Yeah.
What about my franking credits, honey? What's going on?
Yeah, I am. I just think we should stop. Look, to every medical marvel that there has been, stop. Let's work on cancer. Let's stop. Once you're over 80, there's no cure for anything. I'm sorry. It's done. You're done.
There's an interesting stat that I found, like when I was living in the States, it was 98% of all healthcare costs in a lifetime occur in the last 2 years of your life. And if we rethought our relationship to death, we might be able to use that money for something else. For example, perhaps give to our children or charity or invest it in some sort of interesting thing that makes the world better.
Yeah. I don't want to wish death on anyone, but whoever that guy trying to live forever is, I am going to laugh so fucking hard when he dies. I don't think because of his stupid insecurity that he deserves to die because of that, but it will be objectively funny when he dies before me, a man who did cocaine for 15 years, has smoked weed since he was 13 and drank. But I cannot wait to outlive that sad loser.
So you mentioned cocaine. It's a thing that happens on the road. Personally, I never liked the way it made me feel, but I did enjoy the smell of it. And
yes.
No. I'm nearly 16 years sober now, Daniel, because I had.
Congratulations, man.
You don't have to I appreciate that, but I just had to just 5 minutes at a time. Sometimes I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes an hour at a time, but it's always better. You just remember for a second. Oh, that's right. If I start again, I'll die.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. My joke would be like, I have an allergy to alcohol. When I drink, I break out in fuckwit. And I'm going to sound like a complete prick here. And you mentioned, best thing ever when you're at home. So you're on the road, you're doing drugs, whatever kind they are. You've got all your dopamine's firing. You're amazing. You're in a city before you were married. You're in a city with no, responsibilities. You're on a plane in 9 hours from now. Who knows what the fucking life is amazing. I've been and done all of that.
Yeah.
And the sound of my son laughing at a fucked up dad joke that I made.
Yeah. 1,000 times better.
Better than any of it. But I couldn't have believed you if you told me at the time.
Yeah. Like it's my daughter's laugh is better than cocaine. Purely and simply. And much like cocaine, once I had it for the first time, I was like, oh, I'm gonna chase this every fucking day of my goddamn life. The only thing I dislike about parenthood is it's the first time in my life I've ever been truly scared of death.
Yes.
Like when I was in my 20s, like death didn't bother me. I mean, I was such an arrogant piece of shit that I was like, if I die at 27, fucking great. Then that solidifies all of my arrogance, all my inflated view of myself, because I'll have joined the 27 club and I'll be as good as I fucking think. If I die before I'm fucking 40, at least I won't live long enough to see fucking grey hair. The only way to live forever as a young person is to die by the time you're 35. Like that's all of that stuff. Death didn't bother me. I was scared. I remember being on planes when there was heavy turbulence and I'd get so angry at anyone screaming about the turbulence. And I'd be sitting there being like, this is the best way to fucking die. A plane crash is the greatest way to die because it's instant. The only thing that ruins a plane crash is people around you not being able to make their peace with their made-up God. Whereas as an atheist, this has never bothered me. Whereas now, as a dad, truly I want to live forever. Like I fucking hate 25-year-old me for every cigarette he smoked, for every line that he did, for every time that, he stayed up till 7 a.m. instead of waking up at 7 a.m. going to the gym. Because now, it's not about my future. I don't want to fucking miss, I don't want to miss any of it. And yeah, terrified all day long.
It is cruelly fast. It's faster than any car you've ever driven. It's faster than you've ever been on. And we talked about this last time, how rapidly things change. There's with your daughter now, she's obviously younger. Are you more like one eye the whole time, like just in case you miss figuring out the thumb and the forefinger together?
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm like paying more attention, but like with my son, like I was like, grow up. Look, babies are cute, but as a dad, babies are shit. You're the janitor. Like they don't love you. You are pointless. You are useless. My wife breastfeeds as well. So I'm just nothing to these babies. Once they get to like 18 months and, they're walking and they're laughing and they're, my daughter, reaches for me. I'm now comfort to her occasionally. Obviously, mum's still the favorite. And in case my son will be like, I love mummy more than you. And I'm like, buddy, I love mummy more than I love me. What are you fucking talking about? Like, I'm the reason she's your mum, you dumb. I picked that woman. Don't throw that back in my fucking face, you idiot. I know what I am. That's why I found her. I'm less with my son. I'm less with my daughter speeding her up because I've got my son, because my son's my best friend. I'm at that great stage where, I'm my son's hero, right? I'm the biggest, I'm the coolest, I'm the funnest. And because of that, like with my daughter, I'm like, oh, I know you'll get there and I don't need this to speed up. I can appreciate it more. Also, I've got to say this, really thought, you obviously as a father of a daughter, wanted to raise a strong, independent woman. I thought I would have more to do with that. I wasn't aware that she would just come out the most outspoken bitch I've ever met in my goddamn fucking life.
George is nearly 22 now. And I remember at 11, I was 41. I'm 30 years older. 30 years older than her. At 11, she was doing something that was shit. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm 41, and I hadn't yet married her mum, so I'm still mum's boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Fiance. And she'd done something kind of shit, and I was pulling her up, going, "Look, that's not okay. It's not." And she just wouldn't back down. And inside my head, I was really putting the down on it, and then because it was not good. But inside my head, I'm like, don't you ever fucking stop. Look at you. You're 11 years old. You're standing up to a 41-year-old. Fucking, I'm so proud of you. And go to your room.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because like I'd heard from so many other parents, right, which is like how little control you have of who your children become, right? Like your kids come out who they're going to be, and your job is essentially to be a paleontologist and to just slowly uncover who your child is over the years and give them room to grow, whatever. So when my son comes out, this perfect little boy, doesn't cry, at the age of, he's almost deeply in touch with his emotions. He's soft, but in the best way. And me and my wife are just like, we're the greatest parents that have ever lived. Like, this was just naturally good. And then this fucking girl comes out, and she is just from day one, knows who she is, knows what she wants. And she's not like disrespectful, but like I fear who she'll become from me. If my son is like me, he's just going to be a little soft boy desperately putting on a hard exterior because he's aware of how soft he is. Whereas if and I say this as somebody who loves his wife with all of his heart, if my daughter becomes my wife, we're fucked. we are fucked. And she said that because when she was a teenager, she was a goddamn riot. She was, she still is, but yeah. When my son's a teenager, he'll discover weed, wanking, and World of Warcraft. If my daughter becomes my wife, fucking, I'm gonna be on first name terms with the police.
We remember you, Daniel. Yes, I'm a constable.
Yeah. Mr. Sloss, is it? You know my fucking name. Come on, and I'll pop the kettle on. Where is she? What did she do?
At some point, though, and you do speak about. You've done a lot of shows about manhood, and
yes.
You're looking at your little boy at the playground. You're there with the other mums and dads, and you're looking at your little boy in the playground, and it's a horrible thing to think about. And you've done a show about this. There's a massive park near our house. Sometimes there's 100 4-year-olds there, all right? 50-50 boys and girls. And you're looking at these 50 young boys between the age of 2 and 4 or whatever, and you go, statistically, in 20 years, one of you is going to hit a woman.
Yeah, minimum.
One fucking parent there wants that to be their boy.
Good. Right. Yeah, so the example I fucking give, right, is I grew up in Fife, which is a bit of it's rougher than Edinburgh. I much prefer taking my children to soft plays in Fife than I do in Edinburgh. Because when you go to soft plays in Edinburgh and there's like, look, kids are going to hit each other, bump into each other, and you get all these fucking middle class, and I say this as somebody who does practice gentle parenting, you got all these fucking middle class parents being like, okay, Tyson, we need to make sure that we understand people's space, and we need to say sorry, and we need to take ownership, and you know what he does, and all this sort of stuff that I do. Yeah. And then I took my son to a soft play where I grew up in Kirkcaldy, and I was there with my friends who are also parents. And I watched my son at the top of this slide sort of go to like sit himself down, and this bigger kid behind him pushes him. My son sort of falls down this, and it fucking happens. Yeah. And this large working class, what I would call a Ned or a chav, comes up to me and she goes, "Is that my son that your son just pushed?" And I was like, "Oh, here we fucking go." And I went, "Yeah, it was." And she went, "Mark, you little fucking get down here." And like this kid comes down the slide, she grabs him, she goes, "You apologize to that kid right now or I'll kick your in." And this little kid's like, "I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to do that." And my son is looking at me like, "Oh my fucking God." And I'm like, "Do you see how good you have it? Do you understand? You've never heard me raise my voice like that to anyone in this fucking household."
There's moment. Look, I'm 51, Dan. I don't know what to tell you. I was raised with a bit more of the latter than the former. Yet I see what the evidence says about how the latter can end you up.
Yes.
The gentle parenting thing, I get, but give me an outlet for something. Give me something, guys. Give me something that I can just go, I am the Lord and Master of the universe here.
Yeah. It's the double-edged sword. People have been like, you need to not bottle up your emotions, but also gentle parent. You're like, which one is it? Do I say how I really fucking do I express myself how I want to fucking express myself, or am I getting down to eye level to make sure that my son understands that yelling doesn't equate strength, noise doesn't equal power, the empathy and understanding. But then there's other times she's just like, motherfucker, how many fucking times do I have to tell you?
In those moments when you're trying to stop the chav sloss rear its ugly head, what do you do to stop that thing when it's boiling up?
My wife does the funniest thing, and it's really effective. And it irks me at the time, But like, if there's any point where I'm getting wound up by my son, she'll just be like, "Oh, is a 3-year-old winding you up?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's such a good point. That's such a, like, if I'm ever, it's just like, oh, we're having an argument with a 3-year-old." And I'm like, "Oh, of course, well, yeah, I am. I'm the loser. I'm the fucking it. What am I?
Now I'm 5 and I will not."
Yeah. Like, and I do it to her as well, which is, if you find yourself getting wound up by your kids, you're like, you're going to let a fucking 3-year-old have this effect on you? Really? Like, come on. And you're like, yeah. She'd just be like, "Don't you go to therapy?" I'm like, I do go. That's an excellent fucking point. I do go to therapy. Yeah.
And, even the greatest fucking tennis players have coaches. Even the world number one's got a coach. They're always learning. Thank you very much. They still make mistakes. They still lose matches. And that's something important.
Yeah.
When you think of the kind of young man you want your boy to become, what fucking they're going to be whatever they're going to be. But as a general thing, like, what is the overall thing you would want your boy to be when people turn around and he is a man?
I want him to be. I don't want him to be. I don't want him to be the better version of me. I don't want him to be any version of me. I want him to be himself. I want him to just, understand that compassion and empathy isn't weakness just because other people exploit it, right? I'll, I can't remember if it was my dad or my granddad or an uncle of mine. I think it was my dad. But I remember once we were walking through the high street and there was like a homeless person, and my dad gave them like a tenner. And, I was repeating stuff I'd heard on the news and stuff. And I was like, oh, he's just going to spend that money on drugs, or he's not even really homeless, or it's all this sort of stuff. And my dad was like, well, then that says more about him than it does about me. Which is like, just because people will take advantage of kindness doesn't mean you should limit your kindness, right? Just because there are bad people in the world who consistently take advantage of good people does not mean that you should stop being a good person. And also, you're allowed to fucking fail. Part of, everything is to I hope my son doesn't give up as easily as I do. And I hope he's got more self-compassion. Like, I remember saying to my wife the other day, which is, if anyone in the world spoke to me the way I speak to myself, I would slit their throat with a box cutter. And occasionally my son at the age of 3 will be like, "Oh, I'm a bad boy." And it's the only time I'll ever, that's when I get really fucking serious, and I'll sit down with him and I'm like, "I do not ever want to hear you." And he's only saying it because he hears it in the context of like, "Oh, he's a goodie, he's a baddie, blah, blah, blah." Yeah. But I'm just like, I do not ever want you to hear you say that, that you're a bad person. And then also with his fucking sister, this isn't just because she's a girl, this is like a sibling thing for me, which I'm just like, you are the champion of your sister, right? You celebrate. I love, my wife does. I think my wife started doing it, and I saw it in my son's actions. My wife, when I'm not there, my wife celebrates me to my kids, like in a really amazing way. And I've learned to sort of reciprocate it, in the sense of, behind my wife's back, all I'm doing is complimenting her to the kids. Like, how good is it that Mummy did this for us? How great is it that, all this sort of stuff, and, what a good job Mum does with this, and, with our schedules and organize. Because if it was up to me organizing our schedule, buddy, you wouldn't have any hobby or fucking friends, because the reason I have hobbies and friends is because of what your mum does. Champion the people in your life. Like, you are allowed to make jokes, and you're allowed to wind up the people that you love, because that's the fun of familiarity. But the world is going to try constantly to undermine the people you love. So just make sure that you're championing them almost at all times.
But it's what you were saying before, is that the empathy and the kindness I think it's got a bad rap because it's actually way easier to be a complete prick.
So much easier and funner, way funner. Let's objectively funner.
To a point, yeah, absolutely. But it takes fucking strength and courage to be kind and show empathy rather than lash out or use, harsh language to be, to dress someone down in public, to tell someone who's in a service position, you piece of shit, you fucked up my meal. Like, just getting paid $10 today, mate. Just on your farm. It's probably nothing to do with them. It takes a lot more strength to do that than the other. And that's the opposite to what I think your new show is somewhat about. We did allude to just before, like the idea that you're in a fight with a 3-year-old and that you're too old to carry bitterness around. And, the idea that bitterness is within you. I'd like to deny that it's not within me, but it is. I do have it. I don't like it. I try to get rid of it, but it's fucking there. When you're hunting around, when you're getting back on the tools, when your wife's finally said, okay, Daniel, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, fucking get back in there, get back on that laptop. Why bitterness?
Because, you can dig up interviews of me when I was 17 years old and he was asked what his dream was, what the goal was. It was to just make a living out of stand-up comedy. It was to, to still be doing this job in 10, 15, 20 years time. And I have achieved all of my dreams and more. Got to marry a 10. That was a fucking bonus. Never saw that on the cards. And I still, because of, social media and because of the way the comedy brain works and because of, because I've been in not necessarily the limelight, but because I've had sort of attention on me since I was 17, I still find myself comparing my life to others. And there is, as you said, the bareness in there. And what I tend to find, at least for myself, is once I notice a flaw in myself, if I play up to it and parody it, I find it easier to get rid of, right? That's why I like being arrogant on stage, is because in my 20s, I noticed I was getting fucking arrogant. So I was like, if I play up to this and parody myself to myself, I'll see how fucking stupid my arrogance is. And it worked. I would say my stage persona is still quite arrogant, but I would say I'm much more humble in real life now. Now, that could have just been the crushing reality of the world and the popping of the ego in my fucking 20s. But in the same way, like I do ironic sexism, ironic homophobia, and ironic racism on stage. And it's because I still have all this stuff in me, right? I consider myself to be a sexist feminist, right? To be a male feminist doesn't mean you're not sexy. You're not getting rid of fucking 35 years of being a man, you idiot. I still have these instincts in me. The other day, this is what I had to tell my wife about this. My son was drinking cow's milk. And he was like, oh, does Ayla, this is his sister, he's like, does Ayla want any milk? And I said, no, Ayla doesn't like real milk. And my wife wasn't even in the room. And I caught myself and I went, fucking real milk? My wife making the milk that keeps our daughter alive, sacrificing the calcium from her own fucking teeth to grow the bones in my daughter, putting all this fucking, and I'm like, real milk. I told my wife, I'm like, you'll never fucking believe what I just called milk in front of our son. And she laughs about that. That was sexist. That was in my fucking, until that left my mouth. Yeah. And I didn't know that was an opinion that I had. So that's why, I like to be this sort of brash on stage to highlight, again, all this stuff, to bring it up, because I'm not just parodying it to the audience, I'm parodying my own bigotry to my, and ignorance to myself, in the hopes that it's not just highlighting a problem in the world, but it's highlighting a problem with myself.
What's interesting that what you do there by finding something you don't like about yourself, making a parody of it, and then exaggerating it to no end, that's actually a technique from acceptance commitment therapy, which I've been through as a part of getting out of all the psychosis and shit, is that you give the thing, like, for example, mine was climate climate anxiety, catastrophe. I was paranoid. It was fucking terrible, Daniel. And so I would, like, for example, happened today. He's still there. I was driving through Double Bay, which is in Sydney, and it's very low to the harbour. And I'm like, well, these are rich people here. They'll put a fucking seawall right there, won't they? And so in my brain, I'm like, thanks, Peter from planning. I'll give them all names. Peter from planning, you're a fucking mate, just take the fucking day. And by parodying it and making jokes of it, it just diminishes it. And the thought no longer haunts me, and I don't have to be on those meds anymore. But here you are doing it on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think, look, again, the problem with the left is there's no space for growth. There's no space for fucking learning. So, and no matter how many times the left wing will try to fucking got you to me, to try and fucking push me over there, I want to just be an example to like all the men in my audience being like, buddy, I am fucking up every single day. Right? You are never a completed project. There's no such thing as a finished human being. You're only a work in progress. I hate to be a loser and quote the work of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, but in The Way of Kings, which I've read multiple times, there's some really beautiful philosophy in fantasy. Dalinar Colin, one of the greatest fantasy characters written of all time, is struggling with this philosophical concept of what's the most important step a man can take. And as a king and a ruler, he's obviously like, it's the first one, right? But he just cannot get it out of his fucking head. The third Stormlight book, the best one by far, I won't do any spoilers for anyone who wants to read it, is when he realized the most important step that a man can take is the next one. You are not defined by the mistakes that you make. You are defined by how you react afterwards. Doesn't matter how many times you fall down, as long as you get up and continue walking in the right direction. I will continue to say sexist things unironically, not realizing that they are sexist. I will continue to probably go too far with ironic homophobia and racism before that's corrected out of me. I'm going to make these fucking mistakes. Man, I posted a clip the other fucking week, which it was filled with sexism, but it was filled with the sexism that I do to my wife, because my wife knows I'm not an actual sexist. So when we're in private, I call her toots. The thing I always say to her, I'm like, as a sexist feminist, I believe that you should have full body autonomy, but also it is weird that your tits do this, because that's the noise that they make. I posted a joke online which sort of had the way me and my wife talk to each other in the joke without too much of the explaining the backstory of me and my wife's sense of humor. And one of my female friends phoned me up and she just went, "Hey man, you're better than that. I know what you're trying to do, but you're better than that one." And I went, "Okay, great." And that's all I need. That's all I fucking need. I don't need, whipped across the back, admonished, held up there. Just a good fucking female friend of mine went up. She went, "You're better than that one, bud." And I went, "Good to know. Thank you." And that was it. Just my life is filled with people who I'm very fortunate that, my path to becoming a good person was, I don't really think anything to do with me. I was surrounded by compassionate, smarter people who every time I tripped up, instead of being like, "Oh, you fucking idiot, you can't say that, you're ignorant." And the one I fucking hate most in the world, "It's not my job to explain your ignorance to you." Oh, cool. Well, I'll just go to the other side where ignorance thrives then, where ignorance is fucking rewarded, because you're too up your own fucking ass to recruit team members to the losing side. I've not experienced much of that. The many, many women in my life have, exhaustingly patient with me.
Yeah.
And the same with my gay friends, the same with my any of my friends who aren't straight white men.
It's a human thing to understand. We do it for kids. We're gonna say, "It's okay, buddy. Not everyone figures out taking turns on slides. You're not supposed to push the little one down the slide face first. All right." Yeah. We all take turns. That's how we get along. Otherwise, we have to build a playground for everybody. We figure it out. Don't worry. You talk about the next step is the most, whatever the thing you do next, whatever most important step is the next one, which is fine to stay in a cool state. But when you're stuck behind those pensioners at the line who can't figure out how to take their belt off, what does holding on to that bitterness, they don't give a shit. But what does that bitterness do for you if you can't let it go?
Well, so I mean, the illusion, or not the illusion, but the fear that I think all comedians have deep down is if I find happiness, if I find actual happiness, will I still be funny? You know, which is why so many of us deny ourselves true happiness for a long period of time, because it might destroy the art if we are happy. And now that I am, I've taken the time off, I've been home and I am truly happy. I can tell you, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Like, my bitterness comes from there was a 15-year period where I really thought an achievable goal was becoming one of the best stand-ups of all time. To become the best at a subjective art form is something that there's no proof, there's no, it's in people's head, was like this insurmountable mountain that I just kept trying to fucking climb up and get to the summit and fucking reach. Whereas now I've sort of like that bitterness that other people are, at least in my head, doing better than me or getting the credit that I deserve because I've worked harder than they have. And, they just got to fucking move to London and that's why they're on TV. Whereas I get to travel the world and I've played all these new markets and I'd never get all this fucking bitterness, this voice in my fucking head. It's so stupid. The reason I might be immensely fucking successful. But the thing that I truly have over James Acaster is I have two kids that love me.
And that's, or as long as there's food in the fridge and a roof over their head, then I tell myself that all the time. And I'm like, yeah, but I there's still a part of me, and I'm not going to lie, Daniel, there's a part of me is like, yeah, but I want people to see me because I feel empty if they don't.
Yeah, but man, I still have that. Like when I came off off touring for a year, like my wife would laugh about it because like my wife is like the most mentally secure woman or person I've ever met in my entire life. Like I told my wife I loved her for the first time, fucking back in 2018 when we were in New York, and she just fucking saved that memory. And every time I've said I love you since, she's like, yeah, I know. Like you told me in 2018. Why are you telling me again? Like I'm aware that you love me. I see that. Whereas I, an insecure comedian, I will wake up in the morning next to her and I'll be like, this fucking bitch changed her mind while she was sleeping. Like I need to be reminded every fucking day. And it's because, for 15 years of my life, I got all of my self-worth. All of who I was defined by how strangers felt about me. All of my self-worth came from the approval of strangers. And like when I take these long periods of time off, and I go through my moments of like insecurity and it sort of bleeds out in my family life in the way it does, my wife will be like, I can't love you as much as 3,000 strangers do, bud. Like I love you a lot, but I cannot give you that approval today. And I'm like, oh yeah, great point.
One of the first sobriety meetings, I got sober in Los Angeles when I lived there, and one of the first sobriety meetings I went to, a couple of us are like, but you guys don't get it. And they kept saying, just go to this other meeting, which was started in the 80s, and it was at a nightclub in the daytime, and it was all the big hair metal dudes, and they originally started it, and there's a few of them still there. And I sat in this room, and there's this bloke, I'm not going to break anyone's anonymity, but I'm like, I fucking know. I've camped out for tickets to your band. And he says something like, it wasn't not drinking. It was British. It was not drinking that was a problem. It was like, I've just walked out of a room with 10,000 people screaming my name. And now I don't know what to do that's not there anymore. And if you've not experienced that level of adulation, it's a little difficult to explain to someone, yeah, but I kind of want to get back on stage again. Yes, I could just do a regular job and fill the fridge that way. But that thing is, we talked about the best high ever. That's a pretty fucking good one, Daniel.
Yeah. Which is why, and also drugs don't compare to it. That's why you're constantly seeking a way to replace it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are the family coming out with you when you come in down?
No, they came out last year. I sort of said to, I love bringing my family out on tour because I can do about, I'm not going to lie, the first 3 days being away from the kids is great. That's bed to yourself. You can play Xbox during the fucking day. I'm not being asked 400 questions a minute. The first 3 days, you don't miss your family too much. Everything after day 3 is when you're like, oh, yeah, this is all empty. Like, this isn't, what it used to be. So it deeply affects my mental health when they are not with me. But it's Australia. I've been coming out for so long that I have so many. I have like a different family out in Australia of people that will surround me and look after me.
That always seems to me like a lot of work. Remembering all the names.
No, I'm not like 90% of British comedians who, when they come to Australia, they cheat on the mother of their children. When I say that, I just mean I have lots of friends out there. That was a joke I had in my show this year, which was I would talk about, and I wouldn't say any names, but I would just talk about British comedians going out to Australia to cheat on the mother of their children. And when I was doing it during the Fringe, every day I would have comedians and agents come up to me and they would be like, oh, is that joke about so-and-so? And every day was a different fucking name. Every single day.
That when Spinal Tap came out, Judas Priest would go out like, you fucking made that about us. Ozzy Osbourne, you fucking made that about us. In, like every Dio, you fucking made that. They all thought it was about them. Mate, if you're asking the question, I think you're telling me more than it was.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any more of your time. You're an amazing dude. I was just going to ask if you were going to come out to Australia. I just took the family to Australia Zoo, and I think your Steve Irwin joke from the last special is fine. I think you'd be fine. They wouldn't bust you. It was really fun.
Man, but also, man, like, and one of my favorite things is that my son at the moment is really getting into Robert Irwin. Like, he's watching a bunch of his stuff on YouTube. I can't express how truly amazing it is. Like, Steve Irwin's death devastated me. When I remember exactly where I was. I was in 4th year. My dad came through in the morning. I was in my bed and he broke it to me because he knew how much I loved Steve Irwin. And then obviously all the jokes come out, and I laugh at all the fucking jokes, but you can laugh and be sad. It's so unbelievably cool in a way that I just can't express, that my son gets to have that, almost the exact same hero that I have. Like, and for us to be able to, share, because I mean, how fucking good is Robert Irwin?
He sat in this fucking room, and like I was like, "You're 21, and you're glowing in the dark." Terry sat in the front lawn. I was like, "Do you want to come?" She goes, "No, I'm cool. I'll sit here." She sat on the front lawn and watched, and just looked at my wife's veggie garden and just kind of enjoyed the butterflies and shit. And I'm like, "How are you even still alive?"
Oh, she's
both of them. Like, how badly that whole thing could have gone for both those kids.
Yeah. I mean, she herself, it's got to be like probably the single strongest human being that's ever fucking, to come out of that with if I can raise kids, even a 10th as good as what she's done, then I'll consider myself one of the greatest to ever do it.
Daniel, you're an incredible human being, and I'm really grateful that we got the chance to chat today. Good to talk to you, buddy.
You too, bud.